Good morning, I am Brad Miller, I'm the CEO of PSTA.
Morning, Mike DeBreezy, Commissioner, City of Largo.
Good morning, Chris Shear, Pinellas County Commission.
Good morning, Barb Hazelton, citizen appointee for the county, Pinellas County.
Max McCann, citizen appointee for the city of St. Petersburg. Morning, everybody.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody for making, okay, I now see. Before we begin, can I have a motion to allow Commissioner Walker to participate by Zoom?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Welcome, Commissioner Walker.
Thank you.
Now is the time for public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on anything on the agenda or non-agenda item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Action items, 3A, remove the approval of the January 21st, 26 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion passes. Diane Randall is gonna come up and talk to us about legal representation for the 2025 Clearwater Ferry accident.
Good
Morning, Diane.
Diane Randall, Director of Risk Management. I'm here this morning seeking approval for an agreement for legal services with Law Lane, Piper, Conley, and McCready for 1 year, an amount not to exceed $500,000. This morning we have with us Eddie Godwin, who is with Law Lane, and he will be available for any questions if we need things. As you're all aware, on April 27th, 2025, our operating provider, Clearwater Ferry Services, was involved in an accident during service from Clearwater Beach to Coachman Park. As with all of our contracts, PSTA is allowed to hire our own attorney to protect our interests. And as we have been named in multiple claims, we are hiring our own attorney and invoicing Clearwater Ferry Services for reimbursement under our indemnification agreement in the contract. Excuse me. PSTA has asked Law Lane, Piper, Conley, and McCready to represent us as this case does involve maritime law. And Law Lane has specialized and board certified attorneys in maritime. The bios for Eddie Godwin and LB Martin, who are the two main attorneys, are in your action item. For procurement, we reviewed their rates by procurement and risk management and compared them to our current legal contracts and found them to be fair and reasonable. The fiscal impact of this is under insurance reserves. So our recommendation is to approve an agreement for legal services with Law Lane, Piper, Conley, and McCready for 1 year in an amount not to exceed $500,000. Be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Diane. Any questions, Diane?
Thank you. Typically in an indemnification, not typically, but sometimes in an indemnification matter, in this case, the Clearwater Ferry Service insurance company, have they agreed to indemnify and pay the bills?
The insurance company has not. So that makes Clearwater Ferry, so that's why we are invoicing Clearwater Ferry.
Okay, if they don't pay, or they don't have the resources to pay?
Then we would have to pay for it.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure there's gonna be other questions off of that. I mean, if they don't pay, I mean, we have to pay it. I mean, this comes what it boils down to, but.
Any additional questions?
Yes,
Mr.
Chair,
Chair.
thank you. At our last meeting, was it executive, I get confused, executive or it was finance, but we talked, I asked about our umbrella insurance provider and whether or not they would jump in and start.
Yes, our general liability policy has a watercraft exclusion on it, so they would not respond to this. However, I am looking for alternatives. It won't do anything for this, but for any kind of future, to make sure that we don't have a gap in coverage.
So general liability, but We do have an umbrella policy, right, that covers anything?
No, we don't have an
We don't have
umbrella.
any umbrellas?
We just have excess insurance for the liability as a sovereign immunity, under sovereign immunity. I know agencies that don't even carry excess insurance. We do carry excess insurance, but it's not an umbrella in the sense that it overrides everything.
Okay, and we don't have any maritime insurance?
Not at this
You
time.
might wanna think about it.
There's, with the Cross Bay Ferry and us owning
Right.
the boat, we'll definitely have something then.
Thank you.
Any other question? Commissioner McCann?
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
I think I just didn't see you were
recognized that
already, I mean, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, Rick.
I'm in the wrong seat.
You mentioned, everything's off. You mentioned sovereign immunity. I know claims against state agencies are capped. Are we eligible for that protection?
In state court, yes.
Okay. But this is a maritime case, so this would be filed in federal court? And do those protections apply? I guess this is getting kind of technical here, sorry.
Not too technical, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Um,
Do we know, has an action already been filed and is it in state or federal court?
There have been no lawsuits filed as
Okay.
far as the claims. The only actions filed have been a limitation of liability by Jeff Knight in federal court and an interpleader by ASIC, who is the carrier for Clearwater Ferry Service in state court.
So still an open question whether we'd be eligible for sovereign immunity to cap any damages that we'd be exposed to. Okay. All right, we'll be following that.
You said there's somebody from the firm here.
Yes, Eddie
I
Godwin.
wouldn't mind hearing from you directly, if you don't mind, on where this 500,000 is going and what the realities of the situation are as it stands currently. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind coming and addressing us, Danny.
Outstanding.
Yes, please.
Where would you like me?
Right up here in front.
Okay.
And just state your name for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Eddie Godwin, and I'm an attorney at Lau Lane.
Thank you.
The complexity here in part is the fact that it's a limitation action in federal court, where you do have the action being filed by Mr. Knight, but all of the personal injury claimants and the estate of the gentleman who died in the collision all have claims. So you have over 20 lawsuits bundled within a lawsuit in federal court that are going at once currently. And in addition to that, you also have the interpleader action that Diane mentioned, where all of the claimants are looking to Clearwater Ferry's insurance company to obtain what they believe to be their pro rata portion of the policy that Clearwater Ferry obtained. And so you have those issues happening at the same time. And on the liability side, as you know through the news and otherwise, there are a tremendous amount of witnesses to get through here. When you think about the number of people that are on the ferry, as well as the people that were on Mr. Knight's boat, you start thinking about FWC officers who investigated and currently have evidence that we're gonna need on the liability side of that case. The Coast Guard officers, there's a lot of discovery just on liability alone to determine responsibility for the collision. And so that part is happening now. And in addition to that, we're going to have the issue of, for now, I think the parties are looking to limit damages discovery in federal court, which will limit some of the expenses for now. But each of those claims, as I was mentioning earlier, are their own individual lawsuit with respect to damages that are gonna have to be discovered and addressed as well. So that's where the budget is coming from.
This 500,000 that we're requesting to approve this contract, is that our max exposure with your law firm through this whole process, or at some point does the bell start ticking again?
the issue is so complex that there's no way to answer that because of not knowing where all of the individual damage cases are going at this time.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Commissioner McCann?
Okay. Either you or Dan, whoever can answer this, has Clearwater Ferries Insurance Company denied coverage or hasn't made a decision about coverage yet?
It is a limited policy of $1 million.
Okay,
So the issue is that the insurance company has effectively approached the state court and is attempting to turn the money from the policy that remains into the court registry, turn it
What a
over to the
tender.
court registry.
Yeah.
And then all of the claimants would litigate what their share is. Currently, as it stands, PSTA has a claim in the interpleader for its, as we started and with the question, the first question I heard, has its own claim for defense costs and for indemnity. But that claim, again, is lumped in with all of the other personal injury claims, the wrongful death claim, and Clearwater Ferry as well, who is seeking a defense.
got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Commissioner McCann asked my question about whether or not that we were gonna file a claim against the insurance company for indemnification, so
We have.
And Commissioner Shearer?
The 500,000, where's it coming from our budget? Are we taking out our reserves or?
Insurance reserves.
And Mr. Chair and the committee, thank you, Eddie, for
Yes,
providing some insight.
thanks, guys.
Obviously, this is a very complex issue and there's lots of things going on. I will say, we had a good meeting with the Law Lane and the insurance companies, lawyers and the Clearwater Ferry organization. And they understand that we have a contract with them, that they are responsible for this. PSTA is not responsible for this. The fact of the matter is, is whether or not it all comes down to what the ultimate liability is determined. And then whether, if they can pay, great. And if they, as Eddie said, if they work out an arrangement for these insurance proceeds, great. If they don't, yeah, this could keep going. And that's really the exposure for PSA, but they were I would say that the Clearwater Ferry folks and the insurance and the lawyers were all very collaborative and willing and working to put up the best defense we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brett.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
just one more. I think that when it comes to the Cross Bay Ferry and to Commissioner Shearer's comments about coverage, I'm sure there's some lesson learned here about the amount of coverage we're gonna require the carrier to have and indemnification issues and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's probably a discussion later on, but I think there's some lessons to be learned here.
Well,
Seems like you didn't have a lot of
to
coverage.
that extent, one, we've already increased the insurance requirement for the Clearwater Ferry.
Yeah.
Moving forward. And then second, we put a substantial more amount in the Tampa Bay Ferry.
Yeah, I said Cross Bay
Even
Ferry,
than
sorry.
the new higher number on the Clearwater Ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Seeing no more questions, do I have a motion to recommend approval of this contract?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher, appreciate it. Okay, next up is Kessia Harris, PSTA's Director of IT, who's gonna go over the grant-funded software contract.
Good
morning.
morning, everybody. My name is Kessia Harris. I am the IT director. I also have on the Zoom call Layla Singh and Vicky Eglert representing Compiler, just in case we have any additional questions. So today I am here to request a recommendation for approval of a one-year contract to Compiler for a total amount not to exceed $410,000. This scope The scope for this project is to conduct a one-year pilot program that would enable eligible seniors to apply for an online reduced fare, complete an identity verification, and register a debit or credit card online to be able to get that benefit. The funding source for this is through the Smart Grant project funded by USDOT, and this is a demonstration project. Okay, so right now PSTA does have several discount programs, which is in line with the Federal Transit Administration under the Federal Transit Act. Some of these programs include seniors and passengers with disabilities with Medicare card is a Medicare card holder. They're required to get half off on their fare. We also have Transportation Disadvantage Program and a Veterans Program, which currently ride for free. All of these applicants are required to get that benefit. They are required to go to a transit hub to present their identity verification or their whatever that would allow them to get the discount. Whatever document, they would have to go to a transit center to present that information to a CSR. The CSR would be responsible for validating whether that person, the documents they provide is actually the person. They would now need to create an account, log their debit or credit card to connect that discount with their card, and once they get onto the bus, once they tap, they get the discount. Now, this technology is fairly new. It is Cal ITP benefits application. It is a process that's gonna make registering and validating the eligibility a lot easier for the rider. It is a secure online tool created and maintained by Compiler, who is subcontracted with California Integrated Travel Project with support from Caltrans and the California Department of Technology. So this is a completely self-service option for riders who want to do the process on their own. As long as they have an internet connection, they have a working device, they're able to do the process on their own. The actual eligibility part is conducted by the government via login.gov or the Veterans Administration. And there is also going to be this interface within it where the rider is going to be able to connect their debit or credit card on their own. Again, this is a demonstration project which is fully funded by the Smart Grant, and we're currently in stage 1. So I've identified or listed several advantages to doing this on your own as a qualified rider. So it helps streamline the rider's experience by making it a more secure and faster process as opposed to going down to a transit station on your own to do this. You also have the operational efficiencies, which basically helps take the burden off of the CSR to get that identification information and validate on their own, and also work with that debit or credit card to input that information. It's in line with a national push to help modernize transit. Currently, there are 7 agencies enrolled in this process, with PSTA and Connecticut DOT currently being Smart Grant recipients to conduct or implement this same project. Again, this is very scalable. Right now, we're going to start with seniors, but we do have the ability to include more discount programs such as veterans into this program. Again, there is no local tax dollars being used. This is fully funded by the Smart Grant, and we did receive $1 million to conduct this demonstration project. So how does it work? There is an authentication, eligibility, and enrollment process. First, the rider would log into onto the PSTA's website, where they would go to the Cal ITP benefits page, and they would select what qualification, what eligibility, or what group would allow them to get that benefit. In this case, it would be seniors. Once they select seniors, then they would be redirected to the login.gov page. They would sign on with an existing account if they already have one. However, if they don't have one, they would have to create one. they would need to provide all of the necessary documentation that login.gov typically asks to create an account. Once that has taken place, login.gov on the back end is going to provide that information, only the qualifier, which is age, to Cal ITP to say whether or not the person qualifies. Basically a yes or no, the person qualifies. Once that is completed, if the rider is successful, it would let them know your application has been approved, and it would redirect them to an interface with Init, which is our fare collection vendor, for them to input their credit card information. Once that is complete, they get approved, all in one sitting, and they're now able to get onto the bus and tap with their contactless card and get the benefit. So this project, we hope to go live in January 2027. Again, it is new technology, so there will be a measure of a marketing push to get it going. Right now, we don't have a ton of riders, senior riders, going down to a transit center to register in person. However, once we get the word out, we're hoping to see the numbers increase. And we have seen an increased usage in riders using the contactless card, regular riders as well as senior riders. So hopefully this process is going to streamline and give them that option. They still have the option to go in person, but it gives them a self-service option. Again, it's gonna be a benefit for the rider, and I think they're gonna enjoy it or love it. So the contract is going to include engineering, project management, cost for the validation with login.gov, and of course some metric reports that's required for the grant when we send in our reports. So with that, I would like to request approval for a one-year contract with Compiler for a total amount not to exceed $410,000.
Thank you,
And if
Cassie.
you have any questions, I'd be
Well,
happy to
before I
take
open to
them.
questions, I have one. What happens after year one? Is this a constant program that's constantly funded with grants throughout its perpetuity?
This is only a one-year pilot. We received funding for the 1 year. At the end of the year, if PSTA decides we wanna do this annually, we would have to go back into negotiations to save funding for year 2, year 3, however we decide to move forward.
Okay, so we're looking at potential 400,000 or more next year to continue the program, is that right?
Can you repeat?
No, it's the 400,000 is to develop the software, to work with login.gov, et cetera. After the first year, we would have to look at if there's any, maintenance, software maintenance costs plus merchant costs.
Anybody else? Commissioner Scheer?
Yes, let me try and get my mind around this. We're gonna spend $400,000 on a software program, make it easier for people to get a discount to ride on our. Is that what we're doing?
To have them register,
Are we
yes.
trying to increase ridership or increase revenues? What's the goal?
The goal is to increase ridership, to have more people register, and also to ease the burden off of riders who have to typically go down to a transit center to do the application. They can do it from home.
They can't get a bus to the transit center to,
They can. The number of senior citizens that are right now getting on a bus and going down to the closest transit center is low. It's low to get the discount.
okay, so you can't apply for the discount at our website portal?
That's what this would allow.
At $400,000 to put together a little program to give people a discount for.
The issue is that your credit card does not know how old you are and doesn't know if you're a senior or not. So what Kessie is, this program for $400,000 is connecting to this federal thing called login.gov that if you go to get your passport, they use it too. It creates a virtual ID. It virtually creates a thing that knows your age, and then it very protectedly communicates and says, yep, Brad, you are a certain age, you qualify for the discount.
Can't we
And you
just-
can do that for
Can't we just have them put their birthday in?
and trust them?
I mean, $400,000 to get an E-Verify system, I mean, why can't they just upload a picture of their driver's license or something? It just sounds like a large amount of money to give somebody a discount, I mean. And also, as long as we're thinking about it, I see this as Microsoft. Why don't you tell Microsoft that they owe us money on the last software program that we bought that they didn't make sure their vendors had a license for? Call it a day, but we need $400,000 just to hire an attorney, so I don't know.
Again, this is a federal demonstration grant that we in Connecticut got to test this out.
We received the funding already.
I don't see a big benefit.
So, sorry. To add to that, for me, it's kind of hard to really wrap my head around this one because what I think we need to understand is, okay, so this is a pilot project, software development project, but if we need to understand, what the out years, like next year and the out years look like if we were to continue this. This seems to be kind of, we've got half of the answer here, but I think we need a little bit more.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Does anybody else have any comments?
I do.
Commissioner McCann?
I'll just add a little bit of context. I have heard from a few veterans that benefit from our fairs that I've heard them complain about having to go in person to a transit center to have to register for the benefit. Maybe we can confirm where are the transit centers and how often do people have to go there? And then maybe we could hear from the vendor about what exactly is happening on the back end that results in the price tag that we're seeing. Just my suggestion or questions, yeah. That first part was where the transit centers, I think headquarters here, Grand Central, Clearwater.
Pinellas Park, behind the Target, Largo, any of those major manned customer service terminals. Our seniors, I believe, only have to go once, or if they get a new credit card, they have to register each card. So if their credit card expires, their bank sends them a new one, they have to go register their new card. Veterans have to go once a year, and our TD customers have to go once a month to reload their cards. So this would help. And if they have to go for those registrations and they don't have those discounts registered, they are paying full price rather than for that ride to get to the terminal. Sometimes that involves multiple rides to just go get their discount for the rest of the year. So this would help them do that at home, save that money, especially for our TD customers, our veterans, our seniors who might be a little bit strapped for cash. This would help them be able to do that at home. This 410 is a one-time engineering, design, setup cost. The ongoing licensing would be lower to help continue the program. But the 410 is 100% covered by that federal SMART grant, which can only be used for this program.
TD being transit disadvantaged, that's our program for low income
Yes.
residents. Okay,
And
they have to go once a month to register.
To register and reload their card. This stage one would not include veterans or TD, it would only include seniors at this point with this 410, but it's scalable, and if we wanted to scale it, a lot of that engineering is already done.
Okay, got it.
What are the terms of the grant?
This is a one-year project that we would have to complete by January of next year. That's pretty much,
And because you said that the total grant is for $1 million?
the total grant is for $1 million, but this would cover the creation of what we need.
And then what does the rest of the money go to?
We're gonna use some of that money to partner with a nonprofit to push for advertising, or I guess I would say more so partner with the local community to introduce the project, help with marketing, help them if they're new to creating an account, train them with that, We don't have a full list of how we would use the $1 million. For now, this is all what we need, which the $1 million would cover.
So if we decide not to go forward with this, what happens to the grant money?
I would assume that it would go back to the feds and they would give it to another trans agency to test this out somewhere else.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, what we have seen, just in the last, I would say, year or 2 years, is the ability to pay with credit and debit card is incredibly popular on PSTA. If you look in your board packet, it is every month going up and up and up and up. The number of people that are not going through the process of getting a flamingo fare or even necessarily understanding the very complicated fare policies of PSTA, board-approved PSTA policies, they just go in and they tap their card they already have, they have on their phone. And that's happening. And then at the same time, we have this federal requirement to provide half price for seniors and people with disabilities. And this is the only way that we have come up with that can be done with the way people wanna pay. They wanna pay with the, credit cards or debit cards that they have in their wallet already, right? They don't necessarily want, and so this is a system, hopefully it's gonna be much easier to use down the road. It's new technology that creates a virtual ID. I think the world is going that way. We're all gonna have a virtual ID in addition to a driver's license in your wallet someday. And then this is the start of that. It's pretty innovative, but it would be a way theoretically someday, my dream is someday a tourist from Indiana comes down and they're like, oh, I'm a senior and I'm staying on Clearwater Beach, and they right on their phone they can verify. I mean, I like your idea of just trusting everybody, but that would probably not go well for our fare revenue. And this is a way that we could give people the discounts that they deserve, paid for with this demonstration grant.
So basically, this grant money is use or lose, and it's very specific to this purpose.
Yes.
And I would add, it is a demonstration project, so at the end of the period, if PSTA decides we don't wanna move forward, then we would have to cancel.
Commissioner Breezy.
Thank you. A comment, a question, or I'm not sure, you probably don't have a data point that tells us who are not getting the service, not getting the fares, registering for them because of the barriers that exist. We'll find out by doing this, I guess, but do we have a ballpark figure of the ongoing cost after the grant?
So far with estimated figures, it may be, it's about 30,000 a year, but that's, once we negotiate with,
Yeah, I understand. It's
It's
very
not-
high level, okay.
yeah.
Commissioner McCann.
Yeah, I can appreciate a lot of the pros and the cons with this. I think at the end of the day, I like this. I like testing this out. This does not add any tax burden to Pinellas County residents. The question to me is, do we want Pinellas County to have this innovation, or do we want Shreveport, Louisiana to have this innovation? And are we gonna make it easier? And I think a lot of these programs, correct me if I'm wrong, these discounted programs, we're getting reimbursed for from the federal government also. So it's not like we're just taking a hit we're not just shifting money around from our fare revenue, is that right? You mentioned that the
transportation disadvantage, we do get reimbursed from the state, but
Okay.
the seniors and people with disabilities and veterans, no, we don't get it.
Okay, so it's just TD, okay. So some of them we're getting reimbursed for. I see it as modernizing our system, moving, the easier we make it for people to ride the bus, the more people are gonna ride the bus. And it's revenue neutral for Pinellas County taxpayers, so, and it's actually gonna save us money in the administrative costs that we're doing now by manually verifying these people, so I'm good with it.
I just
Commissioner Shiro.
thank you for those comments, Max, but we're not the first business in the world to offer discounts to seniors. I just find it hard to believe it takes a $400,000 brand new software program to do this. And just may not be our money, Pinellas County money, but it is federal tax, it's tax money. And I can't believe we can't go buy a software program and stick it on our portal for seniors to just shocking to me. It'd be cost $400,000 to set it up.
Probably would. Commissioner.
I really always have a problem with saying if we don't get it, somebody else will, over the years. As long as I've been involved in things to, this idea, that idea, that if we don't do it, it's gonna be sent to another community. Well, maybe we're lucky that it's gonna be sent to another community. Because we don't have to bite on every worm that comes down on a hook. And, I'd like to make a motion that we pass on this.
Can we make motions in the negative?
Well, does anybody have any more comments or questions before we move on to motions?
No.
Okay.
Share a little more about California, is that appropriate?
Excuse me? State your name?
This is Vicky Ehlert, I'm the founder of Compiler.
Okay.
For the last 5 years, this is a software project that's been researched and developed in California. We met Kessia 3 years ago when she reached out and met us at the Active Tech Conference when we were presenting the work with Monterey Salinas Transit. The $400,000 is a very high price tag. Software is very, very expensive these days. And it was designed to offset those costs for administration. We now have 7 agencies live in California. Those costs have been distributed across agencies over the years thanks to Caltrans leadership in funding the program. And it's now available there to seniors, Medicare card holders, veterans, and a few other options. And each of those for our transit agencies in California, it's at no additional cost. The really big difference in Florida and what Kessia has done in her leadership is step in and help accelerate the development of this tool is that the agencies in California have the option to work with 4 payment providers. Currently, only contracts are live with 2, and that's Little Pay and Bytemark. In it, while they're approved for contracting in California, it doesn't have any open loop contracts in partnership with Caltrans. And so that's the gap that this grant is stepping in to solve. Because when Kessia approached us, we're like, we could do this, but the big gap is we haven't yet worked with Init, and it's not a priority for the state of California. So Kessia saw this opportunity, the SMART grant, to fill that, to accelerate that work and that partnership. So that's why that cost is very high, and software, it's a custom integration with them. However, what you'll be doing for your peers and other agencies is that any other agency on Init going forward will not have to pay that $400,000 because that integration will have already been done and now available to any transit agency that uses this application.
Thank you. You mentioned California about half a dozen times and Florida once. Can you tell me how many agencies outside of the state of California are using this system?
This will be the first in California because that's who's funded all of this work. It's 7 right now and 20 we expect by the end of this year.
We would be the first agency outside of the state of California to use this.
Yes. Connecticut is in talks, but they're at a different pace than you are.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions or comments?
Chairman,
Yes.
respectfully, I would suggest if Commissioner Hazelton is open to this, perhaps another motion where we would send this recommendation to our Transit Riders Advisory Committee. And that way we run this by our ridership and get their point of view as to how or if this program would be useful to them as senior riders. And also eventually maybe TD riders and people who have to have their information, where they have to go in person to a station to get their cards re-upped. Just an idea that we hear from our ridership.
At the moment, we have a motion by
I'll second your
Commissioner.
motion.
So now we have a second.
I think there's a hand raised also. Or that might be
Board
left
member?
over.
It's Commissioner Walker, yeah.
you know, I see the pros. It's missing, at least from my perspective, is the numbers on the back end, and the demand aspect of this, and then of course, the sustainment costs that we would have to bear going forward. And so I think the recommendation is good because it will allow us to get a little bit more up to date and to provide what they're going to be very helpful.
I can't understand what you're saying, Commissioner. Is your connection good?
Every other word.
You're kind of
Both breaking in and out, every other word.
I heard that he suggested that he'd like to see the out years and like to see it a little bit more fully baked before we take any action on it. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Again,
We have a second.
we've got a motion and a second, and the motion and the second is to deny the approval of this contract. So all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it, motion fails. Thank you. Kessie's gonna stay up there and go over with Al Burns on her unfortunate recent criminal theft by the prior Microsoft reseller.
Like a Netflix.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Al Burns, your highly motivated procurement director. This morning I'd like to talk about the Microsoft license contract. I listened to your comments at executive committee, and in your packet is a comprehensive full report on everything that has happened and including next steps. This morning, I'm gonna give you a summary of this report and make a recommendation. The recommendation I'm gonna make this morning is recommend approval of a one-year contract with 2 one-year options to SHI International Corporation and authorize the CEO to exercise the 2 one-year options for a total contract amount not to exceed $485,000. This amount includes 10% contingency. This morning I have a representative for SHI. Ryan, can you acknowledge that you're a human?
Yes, I can, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to give you a situation overview. As you know, the Finance Committee approved the contract with TSW, and ultimately the board awarded the contract on December 3rd, an amount not to exceed $396,000. As I said at executive committee, it was best practice that we pay for the software licenses upfront, and we did that in the amount of $177,000. Mr. Chair, committee members, PSTA does its due diligence when selecting a vendor. We do the traditional SAMS.gov, which is the portal for all federal agencies, whether or not a company is debarred or suspended. We check all the Florida debarment and suspension registries. I'd like to point your attention to this portion of the screen. Technology, this is the Microsoft Marketplace website. Microsoft's website. And Technology Solutions Worldwide is listed there. And it has it talks about Technology Solutions Worldwide, and it says, by being a value-added Microsoft partner. I would tell you, myself and my staff, we did our due diligence in vetting this company. Microsoft confirmed, or Microsoft told us that they could not offer us that specific Microsoft package, which is exclusively for federal entities or governmental entities. Once we found that out, I requested via a Microsoft Teams call, I told the founder of TSW, hey, let's just cut our losses and just give us our money back. But despite the several emails, cure notices, demand notice from legal counsel, we still have not heard from TSW. Since we haven't heard from them, we went to several federal, state, and local agencies. And these are some of them. We went to Pinellas County Sheriff's and we've been working with them and we filed a report. As recent as yesterday, I heard from the State Attorney General's office that they're investigating. We hired a private investigator. And the outcome of that investigation, high level, is that, to be politically correct, he's a bad actor. And there are several things that we found about this individual or the founder of the company that were not that nice, to say the least. Once again, we did our compliance checks. SAMS, Better Business Bureau, all the debarment and suspension lists on the Florida DMS. But we're not gonna give up. We're not gonna give up. Moving forward, I stand behind what was our best practice as far as vetting vendors. However, we are continually improving. And some of the things that we're gonna do now is we're gonna do reference checks on all vendors. All vendors. And the most important one to me is no more advance payments. No more advance payments. So to talk a little bit about SHI and the recommendation, I'm gonna turn it over to Kessia.
Good morning, committee chair, committee members. My name is Kessia Harris, IT director. And we are asking a recommendation of approval of a 1-year contract with 2-year options to SHI International Corporation and authorize the CEO to exercise a 2-year options for a contract or for a total contract amount not to exceed $485,000. This amount also includes a 10% contingency. SHI is an officially approved Microsoft licensed reseller. We have confirmed with Microsoft and we have worked with SHI in the past. SHI was actually the incumbent for this contract. And they were also the second lowest bidder in the solicitation that we last did.
So with that, if there are any questions, Kessia or I would be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you both. Commissioner McCann, I see your hand up.
Have we done that reference check on SHI that we said we were gonna do, and are we, is SHI okay with us not doing advance funding like we mentioned?
Very good question.
Advance payments?
Two very good questions. SHI, we have not done a background check or a reference check on SHI. And the reason being is they are the incumbent and we currently are doing business with SHI. So we have a proven history of working with them. I've worked with them for over 15, 20 years in the industry and they're a very reputable company. So we did not perform a reference check because I didn't think it was needed for them.
Essentially, we're one of their references.
I would agree with that statement.
And the advance payments, does SHI expect advance payments?
Not that I'm aware of, they have not requested advance payments. And I don't believe, I'd have to fact check myself, on the previous contract, I do not believe advance payment was requested or given.
Do I see a representative up there from SHI?
Yes, Ryan
Maybe he can answer
Shomers.
that question directly for us about the advance payment.
Yeah, this is Ryan Shomers from SHI International Corporation. I'm the dedicated Microsoft account executive for local government in Central and South Florida. I can confirm at SHI we do not require advance payments. Once we require a purchase order from our customers first, and when those orders are processed and confirmed with Microsoft, and we are invoiced by Microsoft, is then when we invoice our customers, not in advance.
Thank you, appreciate that. I see Commissioner Walker has his hand up. Commissioner?
Yes, can you describe the scope of this contract again? Just a
This
brief
is-
summary.
This is to provide all of the Microsoft licenses that we would need, so it would be a suite of different Microsoft products that we use.
So the licenses, I'm assuming that there's an expiration on the current licenses and this is a renewal for the new licenses?
That, you're absolutely correct, Commissioner Walker. I'm sorry? Oh, you're absolutely correct, Commissioner Walker. We have requested an extension. I believe the current license, the original expiration date was at the end of this calendar year, or excuse me, last calendar year in '25. And we requested an extension from Microsoft and was granted that. That extension expires in April.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions,
I have a question.
Commissioner?
In discussions in the recent past about procurement, and the bidding process and so forth, I remember the statement, I think by you, Al, that, the lowest bid is not necessarily going to be the bid that's, awarded. And so if we've done business with this company for some time, 15 years, 10, 15 years, that you have, why did we choose this lowest bid over this current provider?
That's a very good question. Procurement is probably one of the highest regulated parts of the agency. There are federal requirements and federal regulations and state regulations on when you go out to bid. When you go out to bid or do an IFB or an invitation ITB or invitation to bid or invitation for bid, it is strictly based on the lowest price. You're not allowed to negotiate, you're not allowed to move, because we've done business with SHI in the past. That is not a reason to.
Right.
That is not allowable in a bidding atmosphere.
And then that's what, this procurement from the start was for a low bid.
Low bid.
Because Microsoft licenses are fairly well defined. You can find them properly, it's just that we had this other fraudulent company like lowball it basically and come in.
Commissioner Scherer?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Do we have a lot of software? Do we have any contracts directly with Microsoft?
No, sir.
We don't have that.
No, sir.
They all go through their vendors,
Yes, they all go through value-added resellers.
and you've let them know what's going on,
They are aware, sir.
and they're just pretty much, oh, sorry about that.
I wouldn't say, pretty much sorry about that, I wouldn't characterize it like that. They are aware, we voiced our opinions and they're listening, and I would say that slide where they were listed as a valued reseller, they're probably gonna be taking TSW down.
But we spend a lot of money with subcontractors of theirs that pay Microsoft for their proprietary software, right? Microsoft does get paid eventually because we're hiring their vendors.
Yes, I think as the gentleman from SHI said, like, they get an invoice from Microsoft and then they bill us.
Okay, maybe we should send Microsoft an invoice, is what I'm driving at.
I kinda like that idea. I think we should.
Well, I think it's a great point, because it's right there on their site that they're.
Yeah, I mean, they're promoting this company as a
Promoted by
great
Microsoft.
vendor,
They should
that
have nipped
Microsoft sent them an invoice.
They have some liability, I agree.
I don't know
I
about
can talk to
that.
council about that.
Send them a $137,000 invoice, I think it's a
Send
great
your
idea.
attorneys, send them a demand letter.
Yeah, send them a demand, you got fraudulent people working and you're promoting them. Here's our invoice, thanks a lot. That's what I would
It's a great idea.
Any additional questions?
I'm sorry, that wasn't a question.
No, that's all right. Good point. Seeing no questions or comments, can I have a motion to recommend approval of the contract?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
not loud.
What's that?
So I'm the alternate today, so.
If Robert Walker's here, he's, and he can't make the second.
Do I have a second? Is the chair allowed to second?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so.
I'll second it. Just a comment. I really like Commissioner Shear's recommendation, and, you know, this bothers me because I most certainly understand this industry. And the fact that Microsoft has a value-added reseller that they have approved that is now withholding our money, and that this really bothers me. And the challenge here is that this is the cost of doing business. We need to renew these licenses, and so, you know, we're gonna have to do something. But I think the parallel path here is to do as Commissioner Shero recommended. So I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I agree with that. I think, we go where the money is. I mean, that's, if we can go after Microsoft for this, not, what I don't wanna see us do is spend more money to go after money we're never gonna get back from the fraudulent reseller. I mean, I did some research, less than 15% of publicly stolen funds are ever recovered. So I don't wanna see us spend a lot of money going after something we're not gonna get from somebody who probably has no money. But Microsoft in their hand does. And they're the ones who put it on their website, so we have a motion and a second to approve. I just hope that if we get an approval that we do go take every step possible to recover the money from where the money is.
Yes, sir.
So, having a first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Al.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Chair, for listening. I mean, I think our money that we paid is not with Microsoft, I mean, it's with this guy.
No, but it's based on Microsoft's recommendation on their website
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
spent the money with their company.
Agreed.
We spent a lot of other money with them too.
We have, yeah.
Last time I checked,
Sure, there's some
Bill Gates
language
probably
that says we
said
don't
it's
vouch for
fine.
these guys on the website, Richard says that.
I know.
Right. Okay, next we're gonna keep Alan, and then Amanda's gonna come up for present a contract for the manufacturing of bus stop signs. So you got show and tell.
I do have show and tell today rather than slides. I thought props might be a little change of pace. So I will do my best to turn them back to the camera, Commissioner Walker, so you can see, but there is also a copy of the sign artwork in the board packet. So about 15 years ago, PSTA introduced these lovely bus stop signs, which are single-sided with the reflective film, and on the back just say bus stop in black letters on aluminum, which is fairly low contrast. These do meet the requirements for reflectivity and all of those FTA. There's probably about 300 pages of sign regulations that I read in developing this scope. But since we introduced these signs about 15 years ago, best practices have in fact changed. The way these signs are maintained is that our bus route numbers are placed on these little lines with stickers, which can lead to peeling, fading. The stickers aren't always the same reflectivity as the rest of the sign. And then after we introduced these signs about 15 years ago, we introduced our real-time programs and bus tracking options. So rather than new signs, we added a second sign. So if you're out at a bus stop, this is at the top of the pole, about 7 feet in the air. I'm not quite that tall, I'm not Jacob. And then this is in the middle of the pole with the stop number, which is a unique 4-digit ID placed again here at the very bottom of this sign with stickers. So again, Commissioner Walker, that's this skinny sign that's in the middle of the post with stickers. People love to peel these stickers off. People love to graffiti these stickers. So sometimes that stop ID is not visible on this sign. So as we have moved into the latest generation of sign best practices, we are recommending moving to a new sign. This is a little bit larger than life, and again, this is a foam core mock-up, not reflective, the real sign will be reflective. But our new bus stop sign will have, rather than individual stickers for the route numbers, this will be printed as a single sheet with variable data. So with advances in digital printing, we can run off 4,000 individual signs fairly easily by just applying the data to the print vendor, who we are recommending, which is Rocal. So the route numbers will be variable data. This stop number, which was previously not on that 7 foot in the air sign, will be up there, harder to deface, harder to graffiti or peel off, because this again will be one sheet. And then on the back of the sign, rather than middle of the post where it can be marked up, you'll have all the bus tracking information. So the phone number, the text number, and our website with our fancy new bus tracker right on the homepage with both the URL and the QR code. So combining the two signs into one double-sided sign that's visible and branded on both sides, so whichever side of the sidewalk you're approaching the bus stop sign from, you'll be able to easily identify it as a PSTA bus stop, because that aluminum with black text is very hard to see in the sun. So this will be rolled out over the course of a year, about 3 service changes starting in June. As you may know, our service changes occur 3 times a year in June, October, and February. So over the next 3 service changes, we'll be working with the planning team to identify first those highest ridership stops, which will be in phase 1. And then over the course of the next 2 service changes, we will roll out the entire system. So with that, I am recommending the approval of the contract with Rocal to get us through both the implementation of the new bus stop signs over the course of 1 year, plus 2 additional years for maintenance purposes. If a sign gets damaged, hit by a car or anything, we'll be able to order and replace those signs. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Real quick question, looking at the bids, and again, my antenna's up based on the Microsoft situation. We've got
Yes.
virtually almost half of the next price, the closest next bidder. Can we
So-
address that?
So I like to field that question if it's okay, Amanda. Rocal, they have been vetted. And we are in the process of doing references. We haven't got a response. They do a lot of Department of Defense work and a lot of state DOT work across the country. So I think with their pricing, since this is what they specialize in, they were able to offer better pricing. I saw the split based on what happened with Microsoft. That was the first thing that we looked at. Looked at who their current customers are and who some of their recent customers were. And I feel confident in this. Once again, they do a lot of Department of Defense work, and they do a lot of work, particularly that stands out. They do stuff with Ohio Department of Transportation.
If we were to approve this today, can we approve it conditional upon them passing the background check? Or do we have to
Yes,
just
sir.
approve it right now?
Yes, sir. We could do that.
That's all my question.
And we would have that done
We're not
by,
gonna pay them any money up front.
no.
Go ahead, Chris.
Commissioner Sheriff.
Just a couple, the signs that are coming down, who owns those when they come down?
We do.
So we'll keep, okay.
Yeah.
They didn't wanna use them for anything else.
Yeah, if we wanna reuse them, reface them, we certainly can. Another key difference, we won't be able to use them as standard bus stop signs because these ones are center mounted. These ones will be mounted like a flagpole, so the holes will be drilled over here on the side. But if we wanna use them for other announcements or things of that nature, we could certainly reface them. We can recycle them, they're aluminum.
One other thing, I just not random, but I noticed the QR code. Does that allow people to make payments for the rides, that QR code?
No, that'll just take them to our website.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can track their bus, they can look up how much it's going to cost, so.
I just
Yeah.
read about
If you
QR
use
codes
our,
being faked.
Yeah.
if you use our Flamingo app, which people do use, that generates a QR code that you scan out on the bus to pay.
Okay.
I haven't heard of fake funds, but.
Well, that,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been happening all around beach cities where they put a fake QR code on the sign and people are making payments, they end up paying their,
Paying somebody
Oh,
else.
goodness.
paying somebody else, so you gotta be careful with the QR code, make
So-
sure.
That'd have to be a pretty big sticker.
Yeah,
I mean, but it could happen.
it's happening, so.
We do have a lot of vandalism of the sign that's at a human level, that the little one that she showed, of stuff like that, people will steal stickers off or they put other stickers on there and stuff. So that's why Amanda wants to put it all.
Put it up, so the bottom of the sign will be 7 feet in the air, so they would have to be really committed to climbing up that pole.
They will, I'm sure they
And
will.
has it been tested that scanning works at a 7-foot angle?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner DeBreezy. Sorry.
And sorry if I missed this in the report, but since they're mounted differently, do they have to replace all the poles or are they just?
They will be on the standard poles, we'll just pop off the old ones, pop on new ones. The contract also includes the new mounting hardware, the washers and the bolts.
Commissioner Hazelton.
Can you hold those up side by side, the existing and the new?
Sure. And I will do my best to be Jacob and hold them way up here.
Bring it down a little bit, yeah, thank you.
You got it?
No, that's great, thank you.
I mean, most of the signs in Pinellas County will not have 6 routes. They only
Yeah,
have one
most
route.
of them will have 1 or 2, and then this will be blank white space. There are specific requirements for like letter height, so all of the route numbers have to be 2 inches. All of the major text has to be at least 1.5 inches. We actually exceeded that with the stop number, that's at 3 inches currently. So just trying to make sure they are as visible and meeting or exceeding all signage requirements. And then the back, especially when the sun is blaring, this is very difficult to see. But that is very clearly white and blue, color contrast is one of the things the ADA looks for visibility. So the white and blue exceeds color contrast requirements, for color blindness and.
So it's really designed for the riders, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so they actually have to kind of be in the vicinity of that stop to look at it and see if they're at the right place.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that comes to my mind immediately was the public may object to how many of these are gonna be out?
We currently have about 4,000 stops throughout the county. We would not be adding any additional.
No, I'm saying as far as increasing the sign, this I think has always been an attractive sign. I like that design and the fact that it just says, I'm not objecting to updating the sign. I'm just saying, the bus stop on the back, it was like, okay, this is a bus stop. I see those. So it just kind of came to my mind almost immediately that the public, the driving public, the community may object to 4,000 of these much larger signs.
We are
dotting-
actually going to
dotting the
resize it down to
landscape.
12 by 24, so they will be that size. This one's larger than life.
Oh, well,
Wait a
that's.
second.
And
Oh.
they will be
You
mounted.
just said that.
I'm sorry, I opened with the larger than life
Okay.
mock-up. They will be
Then
12 by
great. That's
24. And they'll be mounted, so this side is always
Yeah, okay,
facing the
great.
driving public. You'll only see this if you are going the wrong
Right,
way.
yeah,
So,
yeah, so, okay, well, you didn't
Yeah.
mention that, so
Yeah, that's-
so I
that,
apologize.
That-
Yes,
Bury the lead
this is
on that
larger
one.
than life.
yeah, bury the lead on that one. Cause I thought, wow, that's a billboard.
Yeah.
Yes, no, this is larger than life. It will be 12 by 24. This mock-up is 18 by 30, just for visibility purposes in this forum. But yes, 12 by 24 is the actual size.
So then I guess my question was about those, are we gonna reuse those? Are they giving you all brand new ones?
They cannot be reused because of the way they are drilled. They cannot be reused for this purpose.
Commissioner Walker, I see you have a hand raised.
Two comments. First of all, yeah, I took a look at RoCal, yeah, this is what they do, and there's signs all over the place. And fun fact, if you take 4,000 stops and you divide by the bid price of RoCal, it comes out to about $60 a side, which I'm not an expert, it seems pretty reasonable to me.
Any additional questions or comments?
I do.
Commissioner McCann?
Thank you. Just wanted to say I noticed, well, I like this, great job, I think it looks good. I noticed tracking information is only specifically on the back of the sign, I just wanna make sure that that's strategic. That the front of the sign where the people are waiting for the bus, it doesn't actually say anything about tracking the bus.
That's correct. That was mostly a function of the space we have available to meet those height requirements, trying to fit all of the information.
Yep.
We wouldn't be able to do that with
Got
a
it.
single-sided sign.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a quick comment. You mentioned that the letters have to be 2 inches tall, but they're not maxed out at 2 inches, right?
Correct. They can be larger if we can
Okay.
fit them.
I would suggest on routes where there's only 2 or 1, that they make them as large as
Yeah,
possible. So you have this
absolutely.
big empty white field sitting there. That's just an observation.
Absolutely, we can do that. Yeah, we sized it so that 6 will fit.
Yeah.
I believe our stop with the most routes has like 13, so that would actually have 2 signs stacked.
14 feet high?
Yeah, and we're working with our planning team to make sure that our stops are truly optimized and working as intelligently as possible for our riders.
Thank you, Manny. Does anybody have any other questions?
You have to make a motion.
I'm just gonna give her an ask for, I have a motion to approve the contract.
I would like to make a motion to approve the contract, subject to the chair's suggestion that it be subject to the new vetting procedures.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a second for that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes with the condition.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, Brad's up. Talk to us about the PSTA's van pool program. Present the contract for enterprise.
So I am here, good morning. I am here to present it's an action item for this committee. Well, actually, your committee already made a recommendation to the PSTA board to approve a 1-year extension to the enterprise, Commute with Enterprise contract for continuing the van pool operation at PSTA. And then Commissioner Hazelton asked at the board meeting if we could go into a little bit more detail on some of the on the van pool program itself. And so I put together this presentation based on discussion we had. Your committee is welcome to make another recommendation, or you can just wait to the board meeting.
Yes, so actually, it wasn't a discussion. I made a motion and it was seconded and passed.
Correct, to wait for our further discussion on the.
I mean, I feel like what we're doing today, we've already done. And I mean, I'm just throwing this out, that we did this last month through this committee. But then, I made a motion, and Commissioner Peters seconded and it was passed to, before the board votes to approve the contract or disapprove the contract, that this presentation, be given to the board and then next week.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm just trying to be helpful.
Okay.
I don't know that it's necessary for us to go through this today.
Well, I think I would like to, as a practice, see what you think of it. I mean, see if you have any other questions, then I can make it better for the board meeting next week.
But we're not gonna vote again today.
Yeah, there's really no need.
Okay,
There's no,
thank
Well, it's
you.
on there as a motion to recommend approval, so now we're taking this into just an information item?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Is-
what.
Are you okay with that, Mr. Chairman?
I'm fine with that, as long as
Okay.
everybody else is fine with that, it's an information item only.
Okay, information only, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Brad?
So, the way I put together this presentation was basically a summary of how the van pools, the van pool program works. As Commissioner Hazelton noted, I think you were looking at the federal government website, and there's some really unique federal aspects to van pool operations that I want to go over, and then just talk about the enterprise contract. So the way van pooling works, you're all familiar with carpooling. Van pool works very same way, except it's with a van. Except most American manufacturers don't make vans anymore, too many vans, so it's a lot of these larger SUVs looking things more than vans. That's what Enterprise is leasing, just like they lease vehicles. They are leasing those vans to the riders, who are paying the lease cost, the monthly lease costs of those vehicles to go to and from work. The way Enterprise works, and I've worked in a number of different transit agencies, and most major cities in the United States have van pool operations in them. You see those signs on the side of the road, ride sharing, call 1-800-VAN or whatever. Those exist pretty much everywhere I've worked, and they are all very similar to what we have here in the Tampa Bay. They're based on individual employers. Enterprise folks go to a job site or an employer site in downtown Tampa or St. Pete or wherever, and they set up at a lunch table or do some kind of advertising to find out if people would be interested in using a van, and then they use their database to find out where employees of that company all live in the same area. And then, so in my example, these 6 people work at that company, and they all live somewhere in Pasco County. And then Enterprise will find a central location, like a Publix parking lot or Target or some kind of parking lot, and say the van. They all agree the van leaves at 6 a.m. From this Target parking lot. Get in the van, go to work, come home. That is how the van operates. PSTA took over the contract with Enterprise in 2024 after T-BARTA went away at the end of 2023. And when we started, it had 226 vans traveling across the region, 1,000 customers. 1,000 people were using those vans at the time, and 36,000 monthly trips by those 1,000 people. PSTA has grown it as of October 2025, and I think December was even higher. 256 vans, up to 1,200 people are riding in those vans, 40,000 trips. Again, Enterprise is basically just like renting a car, or if you were renting from Enterprise, you pay a monthly lease for the vehicle. And the cost varies based on the mileage and the kind of vehicle that the people get, that's the size of the vehicle. PSTA's cost does not change. PSTA subsidizes the Enterprise leasing cost, monthly cost, by $500 a month. PSTA pays $500 a month to offset the cost of the leasing price to the riders. So the riders then pay. It varies, again, based on the size of the vehicle and the miles, how far they travel, but it usually is around $215 to $300 a month per rider, the cost to use the van under this program. So just doing the calculations, $500 a month to PSTA times 256 vans is $128,000 that we paid in October. Times 12 months, that's about $1.5 million a year to PSTA for the subsidy. The riders pay $250 to $300 a month. I'm gonna get into this a little bit. And I'm gonna show you a map. The number one customer of van pools is federal employees. Enterprise has cherry-picked the federal employers in the Tampa Bay region, and they are riding vans in a big way. Why? Because the federal government, as an employee benefit to all federal employees, gives a $340 a month transportation voucher, that you can use on transit, you can use on van pooling. If you're a federal employee, you get $340 a month that you can use however you want. So essentially, for federal employees, riding in vans is free, is no cost. Their entire enterprise bill is paid for by their employer.
Right?
Yeah.
Can they use $340 in their own gas? Do they have to use a transit service, or they can just use
The way the federal government defines that is, they give you a parking space. and they say the lease of that parking space that the federal government built for your car, that's $340. Now, you can't do gas. But you can use it for your Flamingo card on bus or anything. Thank you, Devin, for producing this little map of all the different vans in October. I mean, the number of the vans change every month. People come and go. But you can see these big red dots are the locations where the vans, the employers, the employee sites that have the vans coming to them. And the biggest dot right there is the Haley VA in Tampa. Those are federal employees, the nurses and workers at the VA hospital. And then you can see Bay Pines is also a location where vans go to. That's because they are federal employees and this is free transportation for you can see that the vans go very far away. They're very long trips, usually to Pasco County or to Tampa Bay or Pinellas, to these job sites.
I was wondering if for the meeting next week, if you could add the locations of those, the names of those.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what,
Yeah, see,
I knew what
Bay
couple of them.
Pines, MacDill Air Force Base, those
Yeah.
are federal employees, the VA, Tampa International Airport, St. Pete Clearwater Airport has two. I mean, it is really remarkable how I think it's just the enterprise marketing strategy. All the marketing and everything is paid for by enterprise. And they just go to the federal places because they know people will do it because it's very low cost. If you or I were to do it, it would be $200 or $300 a month for the transportation, which if you break that down every day, I mean, it gets to be $10 or $15. I mean, it's a little steep, Now, switching gear to, I think maybe some of the information you might have seen, but this is a unique aspect to ride sharing or van pooling for transit systems. Unlike our bus services or most of our other services, ride sharing is an eligible federal capital expense that can be paid for by our grants. The van pool expenses can be paid for by the federal grants that PSTA receives each year. 100%. No Pinellas County tax dollars are going toward this, or going toward the $500 a month that we pay. It is paid for by the federal government. And we call this sustainable, like a flywheel, because of the way the federal grant formula works. And this is not unique to PSA, this is everywhere that it does this. PSA receives federal grant, yes, Commissioner Sharon?
Yeah, on the 100% reimbursement, does that include the administrative overhead that we have here to oversee this program?
Yes. Yeah.
You add that to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can. Yeah. And it really, enterprise does everything. I mean, we really, Chris Macklin, our Assistant Director of Mobility, he has another job. And then he kind of oversees, pays the bills, makes sure that the vans are legitimate. The way the federal transit formula works for all of PSA's capital funds is a big portion of that is paid for based on the miles driven by our transit vehicles. In 2025, the federal government paid 69 cents for every vehicle revenue mile driven. That is how our $15 million total in federal grant funds were generated. A lot of it was. The van pool, again, those vans go very far, very, very long miles. The van pool in total was 3.1 million miles for the year, times 69 cents generates $2.1 million of federal capital grant funds for PSTA each year. We get $2.1 million we would not get if we didn't operate the van pool. And see, the 2.1 essentially the first, it can pay for the van pool operation. Just as a comparison, I put up here, the buses that PSA runs did 9.1 million rides, miles, and then that times 69 cents, we generated $6.2 million for the buses.
Right, so they're paying the 1.5 million cost of the program plus we get the 2.1 in the FTA funds?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
The cost of the van pool is 1.5 to PSTA. The amount generated is 2.1, so that it's a net surplus that can be paid, that can pay for Amanda's bus stop signs.
Lawyers?
What?
Lawyers.
The lawyers for, Diane wishes that, yeah. But that's the way the van pool program works. It generate, and that's why transit systems, cities have done it everywhere. I mean, they're very long mile, they're a lot of miles and they're very low cost to the agency to do. So in summary, I mean, it's been a very successful program for PSA. Since T-BARTA went away, we have grown the program. It's expanded some. It carries over 1,000 people a day to and from their jobs around the Tampa Bay region. When PSA took it over, we increased the subsidy from $400 a month to $500 a month, and Enterprise had also increased their prices a lot. Your committee already did the recommendation on, the idea what we want to do now is our contract that we took over from T-BARTA ends in March. It expires in March, and so we want to do a 1-year extension of Enterprise just to put out a bid again for another company, or it might be Enterprise again or some other company that we will fully vet, make sure they're not fake. The board could consider in the future possibly expanding this program if they're interested. I think Enterprise does a really good job of hitting the federal workers, the job sites. The way to really expand the program would be to increase the subsidies, but that would obviously reduce the other revenue that PSA would receive. And then the other issue is that if you saw the map, most of the growth, most of the vans are outside of, the people live outside of Pinellas County and Hillsborough County even, they travel into the job sites in the center area. But that concludes my presentation. I don't know if there was something else that you wanted to cover or we
Well,
can.
I'm gonna save the discussion for the next week.
And I'm gonna ask unless I have objection, that we move on to the next item and save
Yeah,
questions for the board
yeah,
meeting,
right.
so
Okay.
we can kind of get
Yeah,
the rest
that'd
of our
be great.
schedule, because we're
Thank
coming
you.
up on a hard stop, it looks like.
Okay.
Thank you.
So no objection, then we'll move on. Thank you, Brad.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Diane Randall will come up and talk to us about claim settlement.
Good morning. I get to start and end the action items today. I'm here regarding a claim settlement with Steve Francois, requesting approval in the amount of $45,000. On May 26, 2024, Mr. Francois was a passenger on a PSTA bus sitting in the side-facing seats when the bus rear-ended a vehicle. Upon impact, he actually slid into another passenger sitting near him. He was 44 years old at the time of the accident. As a result of the accident, he sustained neck and back injuries, and his medical bills are approximately $24,500. The fiscal impact is that this settlement is within the established claim file reserve, and for future impact, settling the case will end all our exposure to both litigation and future medical. So the recommendation before you is to approve a claim settlement in the amount of $45,000 with Steve Francois. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Diane. Any questions for Diane?
Move approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julie Lupus, walk us through the monthly financials. Hi, Julie.
Hi. Good morning, I'm Julie Lupus, Director of Accounting. Looking back at December's financials, we finished with a 41 million net surplus, which is 4.4 million unfavorable to the budgeted surplus. Revenue is 4.1 million unfavorable, to budget, driven by the timing of property tax revenue and also a small amount of federal grants. Expenses are 240,000 unfavorable to budget, driven by supplies expense and insurance expense. If we turn to the December year-to-date financials, we finished with a 50.7 million net surplus, which is 2.2 million unfavorable to the budgeted surplus. Revenue is 1.9 million unfavorable to budget, driven by property taxes. And expenses are 283,000 unfavorable to budget, driven by the same supply and insurance expense we're seeing during the month. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Julie. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a hard stop that I have to.
Okay. All right, we're moving on to the next one. Debbie's PSTA CFO is gonna outline the quarterly reports for us. Hi, Debbie.
All right, thank you. We've got a variety of reports in here. And I'll just pick out some highlights since we're a little short on time. But under the fuel, we are seeing an increase in what the market rate is on the fuel, just as you're probably following, or at least I do every day, what's happening out in the world. And when I look at the variances as it relates to fuel, our average price per gallon that we're actually paying is $2.18 versus $2.15 the way budgeted. As you may recall, I lock in a good piece of this. Henry and I have been talking back and forth, is it just how we've allocated the budget? Should we be locking in a little bit more because of the uncertainty in the marketplace as it relates to that? However, we are seeing significant savings year to year of around $329,000 compared to our fuel that we had last year. So that's pretty significant. It may help other people across the way there. But so we are seeing that. Also in your package, we also have our capital reports in great detail. Investments, this time of year, we've got a majority of the property taxes in. And then we'll be using that to help pay things over the rest of the year. And we also have a health insurance report in there that I don't know if you would, do you want me to say something? You say something? The health insurance report that we have in the packet is as of December. We are seeing a trend in our claims that is up over last year. Yesterday, we actually met with our insurance broker who went through in great detail. I love going through this every year because we learned quite a bit of what is driving our claims, and not just for us, but for overall in the industry. We're seeing increases in the pharmacy prices as it relates not only to cancer drugs, but now the new thing is all the GLP-1 drugs that are helping to drive some of our prices. We talked about taking a look at the things that are recurring, sort of like the hypertension, the diabetes, the high blood pressure, any autoimmune diseases, that maybe we can target as an organization to help change people's habits to reduce costs. So we look at it in great detail. Because our claims costs are up significantly over last year, I'm anticipating as we come into the season where we're renegotiating with Cigna, that we are going to be seeing some higher prices than I would like to see. But it's not just us dealing with it, like I said, the industry as a whole is dealing with higher pharmaceuticals. So that was my Debbie Downer for the day. But any questions on the
Thanks, Deb.
or on
Any
the
questions?
different packages?
All right, thank you very much. Does any committee member have any other business to bring before the committee? Seeing none, the next meeting is March 18th at 9 a.m. and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Stuff.